Welcome to Mogobe Nuggets of Wisdom podcast. My name is Mompoloki Lerumo Mogobe. Our objective is to enthuse, inspire, energize, and empower entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs of all stripes here in BW and beyond. We do so by inviting these entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs into our makeshift studio. Sometimes we call them to the restaurant, sometimes we go to our studio, and we ask them to share their experiential knowledge, their experiences and their expertise. And we ask them as many questions as we can, aimed at empowering you also as a viewer. Dumela Bagaitsu, Mompoloki Lerumo Mogobe here. I bring you another episode of Mogobe Nuggets of Wisdom, a very, very exciting one. We're going to talk about marketing solutions. We're going to talk about brand positioning. We're going to talk about very, very exciting concepts. My guest is about to introduce herself, but before she does, please do me the honor of just striking that subscribe button. We really, really need your support. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Tell the viewers right away your name and share your background, please.
Okay. My name is Joyce Moseki. I am a young lady from Palape. That's where I reside. I grew up actually, and fast forwarding, I now came to the city to advance into my higher education tertiary levels, where I studied and acquired a double major in psychology and sociology, a Bachelor of Arts. And subsequently, in that process, I ended up acquiring the passion of venturing into marketing solutions. Mm-hmm. So then that's where now I had the inception of what we now see as Moseki Elite Marketing Solutions today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Training, where did you go for training?
I went to the University of Botswana.
And after that?
After that, I basically dealt with several mentorships through people that I knew, because it wasn't an easy process to be honest. You know, when you're a young person, no funding for your business and something that you feel like, you know, I'm very passionate about this, there's going to be challenges. You have to be a jack of all trades at some point in the beginning. And then that's the point where you now have to learn the ins and outs of your business, so that by the time you acquire the means and the level of saying, I'm having employees, you know how every area and department works. So I had to start up the hard way. I had to benchmark, I had to fail here and there, I had to get back up and fail again, and
I'm
COVID
sure
hits.
we're going to share all that in a moment, but tell me about marketing solutions, Moseki, Elite Marketing Solutions. What's in the name?
Okay, Moseki is from my surname. So Elite Solutions, as it's self-explanatory. The incentive for us here was to say that we are bringing solutions that are tailored, that are different, that are unique, set apart from the rest or the usual marketing provisions that we find. So basically what Moseki Elite Marketing Solution does, it's beyond the norm of what we see every day in marketing, in the marketing world. Yeah.
Okay. Thinking outside the box, that's more or less your tagline, or?
Yes, more of a tagline, a slogan. Yes.
Slogan, yeah. Tell us how you came up with that one.
I was developing our branding with my designer, and then we're just trying to figure out, okay, you know, sometimes some slogans can be so cliche. And then I was like, okay, but I want to be distinguishable. I want us to actually be distinguishable in that element. So then that's how we arrived at thinking outside the box, because it's vividly that we go beyond what is the norm, you know, what is expected.
Okay.
Yes.
Were you mentored in any way by anybody before you started the business?
Yes, by my very old mother. She's a very self-driven person. She actually gave me the inspiration to start up something, because she doesn't like someone who's idle. You know, whether you're in school, whether you're a postgraduate, unemployed, there has to be no excuse for you to be idle. You know, so she's played a very detrimental role in that. And then outside of that,
I mean, a critical role.
a critical role, yes, sorry. So then outside of that, there are some people, yes, that I've worked with previously that have also played that role as well.
Okay. Yeah. In terms of marketing itself, did you ever work for a marketing agency?
I didn't work for a marketing agency, but I did work at a radio station in a marketing department. And it was more of a sales and marketing because sometimes we mix the two.
Tell us about that experience and tell us those distinctions.
Yeah, so if for example, when you work at a radio station and you're in the sales and marketing department, but we're mostly focusing on gaining and acquiring services to be, given to clients to advertise. But then the thing that I realized that brought me to where I am now is to say you cannot push sales without marketing. So then with that, not only are you a sales agent of whatever service or product, but you also have to learn to market it well, to understand it well, to attach it with the right target market and make sure that it's relevant for their needs. Yeah.
How long were you in radio and any highlights from that experience?
To take it back before that, I was at the same radio station while I was in varsity as a producer.
Which is?
Content producer, which is Yarnefer. So I worked as a content producer for a drive time show. As any ambitious young person juggling school and trying to have a little bit of a work experience on the side. It was a fun experience. And then I took a break and then I went back now then as an executive in sales and marketing. It was a very good eye-opening journey. It got me exposed to a very good amount of network, and with that you get to learn the dimensions and the dynamic trends of the marketing world locally. Yeah. And
there's something about Yarona because there's this young vibe about it, isn't it?
Yes, it's a very vibrant place. It encourages its employees to be very free and open and themselves, because that's the only way you'll get people to be actually more productive. So I think that was one of the reasons why I got to actually learn more, because I was able to be in a free environment.
I have a lot of respect for the founder of that organization.
Yes.
Did you ever interact with him?
Briefly, but it was on rare occasions. We would never really, only if it was like work functions or anything that involved. But yes, we would mostly be in contact with our superiors there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when did the company start, the one you're running, and any initial challenges when you started?
We started the company in 2019. It was a bit dormant at the time, and then it got fully functional in 2020. But then one of the biggest challenges when it started to gain momentum, that's when the pandemic hit. And some clients withdrew because of redirecting their budgets to other things that mattered at the time of the pandemic. But post that, or before that rather, it wasn't also easy, as I had briefly mentioned, that when you're a young person with no funding for your business, but very passionate about, you do anything and everything to make sure that it gets up on its feet. So there were moments where I made a few mistakes, I failed, I got up, and then eventually I had to learn how to navigate along the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there any particular mistake worth mentioning? Anything that sticks out?
Yes. You can never do everything alone. Whether or not you can afford to get someone to do that particular role, at the most you have to work extra hard to make sure you can afford an extra salary. Because when you're overwhelmed, then you underperform for your clients. And that is the one thing I had to learn. I was caught up in a phase in the beginning of saying I can try and do this and this and that, and then
you were trying to save money by doing everything.
Yes, because I was like, oh my gosh, I need to acquire this and that. But then I realized that now my turnaround time is being affected. The efficiency of, everything is being affected. And then in that way now, it stood out that no, I'd rather work extra hard to accommodate an extra salary than try to do everything all by myself in the beginning.
Okay, that's a good learning that
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, what would you say is your mission as a company?
So we really look into diversifying a lot when it comes to brand growth and making sure that as a client, when you come to us, you see yourself different from where you were in the beginning. Because most of the times, some things that I've noticed in marketing solutions, there's lack of brand growth. There's lack of brand development, because if something is just out there, it's dubbed as satisfactory when there's no progress in it. Yes.
And the mission is to do what in the market? I mean, if you were to simplify it for a layman like me.
To just basically provide tailored solutions that meet your particular needs as a client. Because sometimes you can come and say, this is what I prefer, but then in the long run, after we do an evaluation, we'd say, no, this is actually what we deserve to run with in order to see yourself from point A to point B.
As a marketing person, maybe you'll tell us the difference between the mission and the vision.
Yes. So that's where sometimes I myself in the beginning, I was like, okay, wait, how do I distinguish this? Because the mission is basically what you plan to execute, what you plan to carry through and provide. And then the vision could basically be where you see yourself being placed as a company, or where you see what you provide being placed.
So it can never be the same thing?
It can subsequently be confused to be the same at times. It can be, because sometimes people would say, but vision, mission is the same. But I think the difference, the other is execution and the other is more in placing yourself in where you would be.
Having clarified that, then what is your vision?
So I think the vision now, so it's like I said, the vision would have to be making sure that we are distinguishable in the services that we provide. Yes.
Well, to redefine and add value to the brand, image, market history of every business entity, and the need of acceleration.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that need of acceleration.
So can you unbundle that?
Yes. So the last part where it says the need of acceleration would have to be us identifying where we see ourselves in the near future of providing services to people. Because we cannot just say we are just giving you something that you need. You have to see yourself advanced from somewhere to somewhere through us and by us.
Okay. Give a typical example without necessarily mentioning names, companies that come to you and what you do for them.
Sometimes, well, in the beginning, I dealt with SMEs, that your barbershops, your beauty spas, they give somewhat of a little bit of experience, and we just provided services that made sure how to be ensured that people knew what they did. And in the long run, then we ventured more into doing adverts for corporate companies. Some were radio adverts, some were TV adverts. And then subsequently, we also provided some online digital marketing that involves website development as well for other corporate clients. Yes.
So again, and examples of a client, as I said, without necessarily mentioning names, they came with this problem, and then we did ABC, and they came out with this solution.
Yes. So as I had mentioned, one client actually once came with having to be new in the market.
Being completely new.
Yes, completely new. We started with the branding. We proposed a particular branding for them. We proposed a marketing campaign monthly for them because they needed to be consistent. They needed to be seen and recognized. And then in the long run, they develop more sales through that with that consistency. Because sometimes you don't always need social media. You also need to create packages that make people want to always come back. So we help them with those kind of solutions. And then also with a client that is now based in Zambia, they wanted to penetrate the market here with some of the IT solutions they offer. And with that, we helped them identify the particular people that they can partner with and provide those particular IT solutions here.
Okay. All right. Now let's get to the nitty-gritties of what you do, maybe item by item. Let's start with strategic planning.
Yes.
Define the notion or the concept, and then tell us how you work there.
Well, strategic planning is mostly overlooked, if I must say, because this is something that you need to help you guide where you'd want to see yourself quarterly or annually. So with that, we provide it as a service to help evaluate, because when we do so, prior to that, we have to carry out a form of a survey or market research for you that helps us identify the problems that you have within your organization and some of the solutions that can be provided subsequently for those problems. So that's where we come in with either a quarterly or an annually strategic plan, so that you know that this is the step-by-step execution that you need for your company.
So the strategic plan, is it something you write on a board? What is the plan like? What does it look like?
As it may sound, it's actually quite a process, because like I said, it involves market research. You have to compare your current client's business mandate with their competitors. And then from there, you see the progress that they've made previously. And then you tally it up to see what it is that you can add in between or remove to make sure that they reach a certain point of brand growth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you able to give an example without mentioning names? Who you assisted and
yes,
what the result was?
I've assisted a local company. They specialize in, how should I put it, farming, agricultural products, excuse me. And they needed a strategic plan. So with them, I helped them with a quarterly plan that involved CSR as well, initiatives.
CSR as in corporate social
yes, corporate social responsibility. Because, with that, you'd find that a company that provides those kind of solutions would be good to partner up with local schools and help grow the awareness around, horticulture or home-based gardening and stuff like that. So just to mention a bit of it, yes.
And as a result of that planning, what happened?
Yes, as a result of that planning, they were actually happy. They executed most of the proposed strategies, and yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about brand development. We should assume ignorance on the part of viewers, including myself. First define brand development, and then maybe through examples, through explanation, tell us what that means or what you do.
Brand development, you cannot be appealing to your target market without having a certain look or appeal. It basically starts with your logo. For example, the colors you use that are appealing to your market, the kind of design that you use that's relevant to what you do. So when we say brand development, we mean in the sense of having to say that we help you get into the direction that makes sure that you're visible, that you're known. It's not just about saying you're printing flyers, or not saying that you are branding your door, or there's a signage outside, or that you have teardrops somewhere in an event. It also involves that, is your brand visible online? Do you know the necessary means of keeping that brand up? Sometimes you'd see companies rebranding. Why are they rebranding? Why do they want to move from this old look to this current look? It's because we are in a diversifying era or time. So basically,
is it advisable to rebrand every now and then?
Where there's need. I mean, all these big companies, sometimes they don't rebrand. McDonald's has always been McDonald's right through. But there are other companies that when they rebrand, they choose to rebrand. So it depends on if the changing times require for you to rebrand.
Now, I've heard someone say that when you develop your brand, you should look for names or slogans that are easily memorable, that are short.
Yes.
Can you help us explain why that is so?
Because sometimes when, for example, okay, let me give an example through the adverts that we see on TV. They sometimes use those slogans and the scripting and make it catchy, and then when your kids are playing around, they sing along to that little slogan. Or even when you're driving and you hear that slogan on your radio advert, it would stick to you. So something that is brief, short, and catchy, not only is it a priming effect, where you know that your target market or your potential consumer is slowly accustomed to it as a pattern, but now it's like they know the brand behind that slogan. So I don't know if I'm making much
what is
sense
it about our brains that respond to that sort of thing?
Priming, it's a psychological thing, the frequency of how much you're exposed to something, it ends up being just locked into your memory. So if you pass by a certain billboard every morning on your way to work, you are likely within a month to know the order of adverts that come through every time you stop at the traffic light. Or maybe not all, but those ones that appear at that certain minute, So if it's a regular thing, if it's a regular pattern, that is why there's also a need for advertising.
What is the one mistake that you notice companies doing who don't have the skills or don't have advantage of services like yours? What do you notice them doing that they shouldn't be doing?
Some
on brand development.
Yes, on brand development, I think sometimes some companies don't take their time to do research of people that are or within their competition and see what their competitors do, because there's a lot of copying, and then you
Copy and paste,
and then you're trying not to seem like your competitor, but then you look like them, and then you feel like since there's similarity, some of the people might come to you assuming that it's, and the other mistake that I see people make is that they choose to use the wrong coloring. As simple and overlooked as it sounds, coloring plays a very good role in.
How so?
Because when it comes to branding, the human mind works with things that are vivid. It's easy for you to remember something that stands out, bright, creative, rather than something that is too much. So some people tend to use too much color definition in their branding, and then it distorts the meaning of saying, I'd recognize that name, I'd recognize that word, or what that logo say. So I think that's where sometimes people make the mistake.
Are there any particular colors that people tend to gravitate towards?
Mostly, yeah. I can give an example. Why you would never ever forget there's a Mascom. The yellow stands out. It's there. Why you wouldn't not overlook the BTC. The green stands out, So people sometimes, yes, they get to be associated more with what speaks to their brand. So if I may take your logo, for example, it's more of a corporate, real estate, diversified in what you do. So the colors may be well-fitting for that. You wouldn't want to say you choose green and yellow because there's nothing that is just, out there that's meant to attract things that are too hectic or too, So if corporate colors, they have their orientation, and also with the services.
And corporate
provided.
colors are what?
Corporate colors can be any color. It just depends on the services provided. Yeah.
Okay. Digital marketing, that's where all the focus tends to be these days.
Yes.
Why is it important?
These days, we don't even spend any time on reading magazines. We spend so much time on our phones. When you want to research on something, it's your phone. There's no longer time for the library. There's no longer time for, manual reading. So now when you're getting caught up in this kind of world we live in, That's where you bring in the social media aspect. Because digital marketing is a broad spectrum of marketing online. It doesn't mean social media only. There's email campaigning or marketing where you see when you're on a website, there's the pop-ups of adverts. And there's, the website development where there's website marketing as well. So then in this part of digital marketing, there's a social media where now you use your Facebook, your Instagram, and Twitter. And that's where people mostly engage to give verdict.
So how do you assist companies with digital marketing exactly?
Digital marketing can be useful for me in very different ways.
How do you assist them?
When we assist companies, we make sure that we navigate the accounts on social media. On social media. And then with navigating those accounts, we also do what is called sponsored ads, where sometimes you need a boost to make sure that they reach the certain amount of people that they should. And then sometimes where necessary, you can go live, like we just did, and also with what we also help in social media marketing is also to make sure that there's a consistency in the appeal and design of the artwork that's posted. Because it's very important for us to make sure that we keep a certain look for our client. We don't want to be jumbling around with inconsistent designs.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you again, since you're an expert, what's it our brains that detest that, and what is it about our brains that make us leave a company that does that?
It depends, because a company, if I did get you right.
I just want to know what is about our human nature that causes us not to like that, or causes us to not do business with companies like that.
Sometimes it's out of preference, to be honest, because companies that do that, sometimes it's maybe too much exposure, or now your brand is getting diluted, and that's where sometimes you tend to fall away. So, for example, I can advise, or I tend to advise my clients that one of them would say, I want to post something every single day. I want to do this every single day. And I'll be like, no. But then you're not giving your client a reason to retain any memory of remembering that you're there. If you're always up in someone's face, what do they want to do? They want to step back and just have a breather from you. So that's why it's important to have a periodical presence on social media.
Define that, how periodical, how frequent?
So as I said, I'm always going to keep saying this because it depends on the service you offer. For example, with a restaurant, you'd want to choose the peak days on when to put something up. And you wouldn't want to choose the days that are less active to always do things. So, for example, if you have your peak days, obviously you'll have a good traffic in business of that day. So then subsequently you can also target and say, let's work on giving life on these dead days and do something that will give people traction to come. And then that's how you navigate through it. So you wouldn't want them to post Monday to Sunday. You'd want them to post maybe 2 to 3 times a week. And then for a different corporate company, you wouldn't want them to just be regularly. Sometimes even once a week is enough. It's fine.
Is there a particular digital marketing, effort or campaign that you are proud of? With names, you have to be careful.
Yes, I have to be very, very careful with that.
But still, you can share.
We've done quite a bit. When we were starting up, there was a place that we ran campaigns for, and then also when it comes to events as well, mainly event coordination is something that we also do. There's it was a monthly or an annual event that occurred, and with some of the digital campaigns that we did for them, they deemed profitable for them, and we were proud of that.
What did you do for them?
We it's a market day sort of event that involves families and that is very unique on its own. So with that, we created attractions through the sponsors that we had, and did campaigns that involved competitions and making sure that people had more interest in coming in through that. But then the other thing that I also feel we can also pride ourselves in is the online campaign that dealt with website development, because that's when we realized a lot of people actually do need to be exposed to knowing that they need website development programs. So we ran a brief competition with the IT partner that we have that is based outside, and we got quite a few number of people in. Yes.
So it was a super success.
It was. Though we provided that at a bargain. It's not your everyday thing, but we just wanted to see the need of having a website as a company.
Yeah. Event coordination. That one, I know what it means at a general level, but conceptually, what is event coordination and what does it involve?
Yes. Event coordination involves a number of things. As it's self-explanatory, it starts even from when the event is, how it's going to be carried out, the kind of people that are going to be there, or the kind of people that should be there, and at the most, how it is run. Because you do not want people to come back the following day and say that was a very poorly managed event, or it wasn't done well, whether corporate or social. So as a service that we provide, we always make sure that coordinating, and as part of that, we make sure that it's managed well and proper. From every detail and need of things that are needed in between as an added value for the people that are attending, it always has to be up to par.
What sort of events mainly are you proficient at, or have you become good at?
We started with the social farmers market type, and then we grew into corporate events now, where we coordinate campaigns or special events that a company may have. Yes.
Okay, I mean, I wanted examples.
Yes.
I know names are challenging because the whole logic is that you don't want to be sued. People may not want their names mentioned, but it does help to explain in generalities without mentioning names.
Yeah, I can share with one that we're currently working on. It's going to be on the 27th of August. It's a masterclass with Vusi Tembakwayo. Yes, so that is...
That one you can mention. It's all over social media.
Yeah, it's all over social media. So
what is your role there?
We're coordinating the event. Yes.
What does that mean?
So it means that we are conceptualizing around everything that is going to be going on that day, helping to ensure that everything is running up to par and is in great position and planning, as well as when it also comes, for example, to the type of and kind of panelists we'll be having, if it's right for the concept of the event itself. The people invited, are they tailored for being guests at that event? Yes.
Now, I see in billboards his name everywhere, so it's you who are putting up his name there.
You could say that, yes, because the client that we're working with that is behind this particular event, they approached us with the need to say we want this event to actually not just be out there because it's Vusi, but to actually prove the incentive that is coming with, the advice that is going to be given to young SMEs and upcoming entrepreneurs and young students.
Because the question is always, is it worth the money? Because people wonder, why should I pay to just hear a guy who I can also listen to on YouTube?
On YouTube.
Or everywhere else on social media.
Yes.
So how do you get over that, if you like, initial resistance?
Yeah. So sometimes the challenge with that, like you've seen with this one currently, you also add an entertainment angle to it, an added value to say, after having this kind of day of coming to spend your time and money to listen to this person and give advice and give talks, there's also, before the entertainment, the panelists, which are local people that get to have an interactive conversation with him and say, this is our relevance with what we do in the industry. What are your thoughts? What's your take on that? And subsequently, to keep people actually even more interested, then you add an entertainment element to it to say later on in the evening, this is what we provide, this is what we have in store for you. And that's the part where we also attract the university students to say that, you know what, it's not just the fact that you're paying.
Well, it will take all their allowance, isn't it?
No, not really. There's a student package that we have.
Tell me about it. Tell me about your packages.
Yes, the student package is basically affordable for them, and they can actually attend. They can attend the event at a very, very affordable rate.
Which you are not mentioning.
Because we are going to be launching the package this week. Yes, so they will see it on social media.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you're still finalizing.
Yes.
All right. Now, I see some events, people provide bodyguards and that sort of thing. Does it go that far? And what are the challenges associated with that?
Bodyguards for the entrance? Or
Yes, for both the entrance and maybe some of the personnel, some of the speakers.
Some people, for example, they have their requirements. If someone that you invited over for an event says, I require this, this is part of my...
Yeah.
So there's
but not the color of the paints on the bedrooms, around the hotel rooms.
No.
Some divas can be very, very difficult to please.
No, some people just choose to have their certain preferences, but I don't think it goes that far. But as for the entrance, it's just nothing to scare off people with the security people. It's just to say we are making sure that there's order and that there's no one trying to come in for free or anything of the like.
Okay. Now, we're still battling with COVID, and in South Africa, for instance, some of the protocols have been removed, like masks and also, sanitizing and so on. Is it difficult for you to manage people from SA who are used to certain type of protocols when they come here?
Yeah, I think it should be, because now they're already used to a different adjustment of things, and then now having to find that, oh my gosh, you're rewinding and going back now. It's nothing unorthodox. It's just something that they can handle, and yeah. But I really, really, really wish that we could get to a point where now we don't need to wear any masks. Yes.
The kind of adverts that you produce, let's talk about advert production. What motivates the kind of adverts you produce and what you look at?
So most of the time, if we were guided by our clients' preferences. So when we script an advert for them, they'd say we want it to sound jolly or catchy, but also make sure that it involves these services. Only when it becomes irrelevant, we'd say no, but rather for this campaign that you're doing, let us not make it sound too catchy or too mellow. We make those kind of suggestions. So that's what comes around that, and the type of
What's wrong with a catchy advert?
It depends.
Too catchy? What do you
mean?
mean?
Too catchy, I don't think... okay, you can... A marathon, for example, right, can use a catchy tone. Because you're trying to get people to get hyped up, to get excited to come to this. So then if, for example, you are doing an advert for a baby advert or a medical aid advert cannot sound catchy because it needs you in the right state of mind to be, you can't be excited and playing bubbly disco music in the background of the ad and saying, come join our membership program no. So it differs, as well as the type of voice artist you use, male or female, because they also establish the tone.
Okay. Do you offer the actual voice yourself, or you have?
I used to when I was jack of all trades then.
Oh, okay.
But I don't anymore. Yes.
Yours will be the mellow one, I guess.
I actually have done catchy ones, actually, surprisingly, but I mostly...
Your voice seems to be very mellow.
I mostly did the mellow, down-toned adverts.
But occasionally the catchy one.
Yes.
Okay. And when we talk about adverts, we're not just talking about radio adverts. What are the adverts beyond radio?
There are also TV adverts, and then there are also social media adverts.
Okay.
The visual ads.
Describe in your mind the general ingredients for a successful TV advert.
First of all, it has to have good quality visuals, because that's where you get to catch someone or get their attention. You can't get someone's attention with blurry images or poor editing. And second of all, the kind of music that is used. If it's jolly, it has to be the right jolly. If it's mellow, it has to be the right mellow jingle used. And then third of all, the kind of characters used. If it's like an interactive advert, TV advert, that involves people acting in it. But also if it's just a TV advert with visual ads, with visuals, it also has to be appealing visuals. You know, not like our old school pop up and the words appear 1, 2, 3, 4, and then they spin around 10 times. You know, it has to be something that is modernized and appealing, you know, that can get someone's attention.
Is there a particular TV ad that you think as a gold standard, this is it?
That we've done, or that in general that I know?
Both, a little bit of both.
That's a very tricky one to answer because there's quite a few. I'd like to say I appreciate the concept around the DSTV adverts, and even locally some Mascom adverts have been quite impressive. Yes, and then with some that we've done some for Flowtech that are actually not bad. But yeah, that's my stand there.
Okay. I like the chicken licking one, although I don't eat chicken.
I was thinking of it just now.
Yeah.
It's very
There's just something about it. Really, it's so deep.
It's very, very deep. They take their time.
Yeah, you see that there's a lot of work. Each advert seems to, you know,
It's
talks about
basically,
life. I find that adverts that talk about life, less about the actual chicken.
Yeah,
and more about life.
It's like a movie oriented adverts. They're very, very, very deep.
Do you produce those kind of, that level of?
We're not yet there.
Okay.
We're not yet there, but we hope to be there very soon. Yes.
What does it take to get there, that level?
You need a very good creative team. It doesn't need 1 or 2 of us or 3 of us. It needs a very good collective creative team, and also, you know, a good camera crew with a good eye, you know, to get all angles right, to get all the moments captured, because you can only go as far as scripting it and discussing how you want it to be portrayed. But then when it comes to the actual work, sometimes what I see with them, it can be moments where they're like, you know what, wait, let's not do this part, let's rather do it this way. You need minds that can alternate in such situations.
Another one that blows my mind, I'm not a big fan of Coke, but around the World Cup,
yes,
they come up with adverts that really something about them.
They go very, very hard. There's a lot of storytelling, especially in the ones that you.
But in a very short space of time.
Yes.
Yeah, it takes an exceptional skill to do that.
It does.
Okay.
It does.
All right. Since you said you're very happy with the Flowtech one, I think we'll give you the poetic license to tell us about it.
No, it was just basically. I think it was the one where we were promoting the irrigation products. Yes. So with something like that, you obviously wouldn't go all irrigation plants out there. You don't need it to be too catchy. It has to have the right tone, the right feel, the right static view, and be appealing to say, you know what, I would like to purchase this and use it for my farm as well, or whatever. Yes.
What have you done for Landmark? That's another big company.
Landmark, those are the ones that I was actually mentioning about the strategic planning for the CSR that we also incorporated.
Okay.
Yes.
So I was talking more about the adverts because I'm very big fan of those.
So for adverts, we've also done for Napa.
Napa.
Yes.
What did you come up with?
We provided the radio adverts. Yes. They were just holding a campaign centered around messages regarding HIV and AIDS.
Okay. Entrepreneurs tend to feel that advertising is expensive. For instance, radio advertising can be prohibitive. What's your advice about that objection that it costs too much?
Yes. It has its required budget, I must say. You can't just jump into it without having to evaluate the benefits of it. Is your clientele mostly radio listeners, or are they people that are out there that need billboards or that need attention through social media? So radio adverts can be costly because, they have a rating that they go by, a standard of rating. So anything that is too long can be expensive to produce. And also the frequency on how many times it should play also plays the role on your budget for that.
Yeah, but I want you to convince someone that there's value beyond the cost.
Yes, coming to that, that's what I was saying. The value in that cost is that now you are getting to reach your people. So, for example, if you organize to get your adverts playing at peak hours, maybe in the morning, at lunch hour, in the evening, morning through going to work, and then lunch hour, and then evening from work during traffic jam, you are most likely to get your target market's attention. That is the good time to actually make sure that, that's where your money's worth is going to go. Same goes with TV. Those peak hours also work. Even with billboards, those peak hours and social media.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, the youngsters always want me to ask if there's moolah in this particular profession. Is there serious zaga?
There can be good money. I must admit that there can be good money in this. You, as an entity of marketing solutions, need to maintain consistency. Consistency in turnaround time, consistency in making sure that you do not go below average of what you started with in the beginning, and always making sure that you are forever studying around your clients' competition and market trends to always make sure that they're in the loop, because you can't just always say you're listening to the client. Some clients are always satisfied when you propose things that they didn't even fathom of hearing or seeing work. So that's how you can actually be consistent in making good money.
So do you advise, is it your view that to make it, you really have to go the extra mile? You have to provide that extra bit?
Yes, it's important. Sometimes for us, some of our clients, even when it's a random day on their birthday when they don't expect it, we do those little gestures, things that go beyond what you provide as a service. So a client needs to also be, you need to hit a soft spot sometimes. If it's the
What do you mean a
business,
soft spot?
For example, if it's the business's anniversary, prior to that, on the week of it, you can surprise your client and say, happy anniversary to your company. This is what we provide for you as a discount for being long-standing with us. Or even on the own director's birthday, you can just say, we've thought of you on your birthday, there's something. And then just be like, oh, okay, they actually are thoughtful. Apart from always wanting to take money away from me, they actually know that I'm a human being as well. Yes.
It's not about moolah only.
It's not always about...
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, the crystal ball question. When we're looking at Moseki as a brand, when we're looking at, Moseki Elite as a brand, what is being projected 5, 10, even 15 years ahead?
We really strive to see the brand beyond the continent of Africa, because right now, in this current year, we started venturing into acquiring business from outside into Botswana.
Yes, tell us about that.
So in the long run, we really, really do want to see ourselves not just in Africa, but to the world.
The business you're acquiring, is it a partnership or is it a franchise or what?
Mostly is partnerships. So you'd find someone that wants to make investments here, looking for places to make those right investments. That's where we help them navigate to say, okay, we can acquaint you with this particular person and this particular person. Then when you're ready to be established, then we can help expose what you want to offer with those investments. And the other one that we currently have, they are bringing their products from SA to here. Yes, so it's that kind of bridging the gap.
So how will the company look like in those years, 10, 15?
It will be very desirable for us to actually be somewhere in Times Square, you know, saying that from Africa, from the heart of Africa to New York, saying that we've also played a role in that. Because I think sometimes as Botswana, we limit ourselves. We're always trying to say, no, if I can make so-and-so a couple of zeros from this job, I'm good. We like to see the bigger picture of saying, why can't I just try people outside? Why can't I show people that there's opportunities in Botswana? Why can't I bring them here, you know?
Because you already have a number of clients outside the country, right?
Yes, we're getting there. And the thing is that with these clients, they're not just coming here to also make money. They're also coming to also develop our economy. So it's a give and take. It's not something that involves them just benefiting on their own.
Okay. All right. Do you have a question for me?
I think I do. Why podcasting?
Well, it was progression from radio in the sense that we had a program before called Meet the Overcomers, which was at Duma. So it was a progression where technology has changed, the audience has shifted to the small screen, and I wanted personally to showcase young, dynamic businesses like your business, and I wanted a platform where we can expose them within the ecosystem to one another, and then internationally. And I saw myself watching a lot of podcasts from outside and being unable to see any podcasts locally. So there was an additional incentive to get something local that is brand worthy in terms of consistent with our brand as Mogobe Incorporated. So that was the thinking, but it more or less started as a half-hearted experiment.
Okay.
If you know how things start small. But when I saw the reaction of the public and the kind of following we're getting and the impact we're slowly having, then it became a labor of love. So that's why we love podcasts.
Okay.
I would not have met you otherwise.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Now,
Okay.
to conclude our conversation, can you look at that camera and share some parting words of encouragement with the viewer?
Okay. To the young entrepreneur out there, do not lose hope when you start up a company or you're looking into starting up your own company. There are obviously going to be a lot of challenges you're going to face, and they should not deter you from your vision, but rather encourage you to progress further. So keep doing what is needed of you, and mostly and importantly, always research around what it is that you want to do to help you advance.
Okay. How do they access your brand and your business on social media and elsewhere?
Okay. On social media, it's Moseki Elite Marketing Solutions on Facebook, Moseki Elite Marketing on Instagram. And for contact details, our WhatsApp number is 74213979.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. You've been a wonderful guest. You've
Thank
done
you
a great
so much.
job.
Thank you so
We
much.
appreciate your coming.
Thank you.
Okay.